My name is Savannah Brooks. I'm 31 years old. And 3 weeks ago, my stepfather made a joke that ended our relationship forever. Not in private. Not at home. In front of more than 200 people. The crazy part? He thought everyone would laugh. And they did. Every single one of them. But nobody was laughing 30 days later. Let me explain. The banquet hall looked like something out of a movie. Bright lights, fancy decorations, business leaders, local politicians, people shaking hands and talking about money. My stepfather, Grant Walker, was the star of the night. After 40 years running Walker Freight Solutions, he was finally retiring. Everybody loved Grant, or at least that's what they thought. To the outside world, he was a self-made businessman, a respected leader, a family man. But the people who know you best usually see a different version, and I knew exactly who he was. I sat alone near the back of the room. Not at the family table, not near the stage, not even close. That should have told me everything. Still, I stayed. Part of me wanted to believe maybe things had changed. Maybe for one night he could treat me like family. Big mistake. About an hour into the event, Grant stepped onto the stage. The crowd cheered. He smiled and started thanking people. Business partners, friends, employees. Then he started introducing family members. First came my stepbrother Tyler, the future CEO, the golden child. Everybody clapped. Then came my stepsister Brittany. More applause. Then his wife Sandra. More applause. Finally, his eyes landed on me. A smile spread across his face. The kind of smile that usually means trouble. And over there, he said, pointing directly at me. That's Savannah. A few people turned around. Then he laughed. No college degree? The room chuckled. No real future. More laughter. Still trying to figure out life at 31. Now people were openly laughing. I felt hundreds of eyes staring at me, waiting to see how I'd react. Grant wasn't finished. Maybe one day she'll get lucky and marry somebody rich. The crowd exploded. People slapped tables. Some nearly spilled their drinks laughing. And my family? They laughed the hardest. Tyler, Sandra, Brittany, every one of them. For a moment, everything went quiet inside my head. No anger, no sadness, just clarity. 12 years. 12 years of being ignored, mocked, underestimated. And suddenly I realized something. I didn't owe these people another second of my life. Slowly, I stood up. The laughter started fading. People noticed. Grant noticed too. His smile started slipping. I picked up my glass of sparkling water, looked directly at him, and said, "Congratulations on your retirement." The room became silent. I hope tonight is everything you wanted. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then I smiled. A calm smile. The kind that makes people nervous. And I said, "Because this is the last time any of you will ever see me." Complete silence. You could hear a pin drop. Grant looked confused. Tyler looked annoyed. Sandra looked worried. But none of them understood what I meant. Not yet. I placed the glass on the table, picked up my purse, turned around, and walked toward the exit. Behind me, nobody laughed anymore. Because deep down, they all felt something had just changed. And the truth was, something had. What none of them knew was that the business empire Grant spent 40 years building was about to collide with a secret. I'd been hiding for 3 years. And when that secret came out, everything would change. People always think family problems start with one big event. A fight, a betrayal, a dramatic moment. Most of the time they're wrong. The worst family wounds happen slowly, year after year, little by little, until one day you realize you've become invisible. That's exactly what happened to me. I was 8 years old when my mom passed away. Cancer. Fast. Cruel. One day she was helping me with homework. A few months later she was gone. For a long time, I kept expecting her to walk back through the front door. Kids don't really understand death. They just understand missing somebody. After she died, the house changed. Everything felt colder, quieter. Even my stepfather, Grant, changed. Before Mom got sick, he used to play catch with me in the backyard. He used to ask about school, used to call me kiddo. After she was gone, it felt like he stopped seeing me. 2 years later, he remarried. Her name was Sandra. She came with 2 children, Tyler and Brittany. The day they moved into our house was the day everything shifted. At first, I tried hard to fit in. I really did. I wanted a family again. I wanted brothers and sisters. I wanted normal. Instead, I learned something important. Not everybody joins a family. Sometimes they replace one. Tyler was 3 years older than me. Confident. Loud. Always acting like he owned every room he entered. Grant loved that. Tyler played football. Grant loved football. Tyler wanted to work in business. Grant loved business. Every conversation somehow became about Tyler. Every achievement became Tyler's achievement, and everybody else just lived in his shadow, including me. When Tyler got an A on a test, the family celebrated. When I got straight A's, nobody noticed. When Tyler won an award, it went on display. When I won one, it stayed in my backpack. It wasn't abuse. That's what made it confusing. Nobody yelled. Nobody hit me. Nobody called me names. I was simply ignored. And honestly, sometimes that hurts worse. Years passed. I became quiet. Not because I wanted to, because nobody listened anyway. The one person who did listen was my grandmother, Rose Walker, Grant's mother. Every Sunday she called me. Every single Sunday. Didn't matter if she was traveling. Didn't matter if she was sick. She always called. "How's school, sweetheart? What are you dreaming about these days? What do you want from life?" Nobody else ever asked those questions, but Grandma Rose always did. One afternoon when I was 16, she took me to lunch. Just the two of us. We sat in a small diner outside Dallas. Nothing fancy, just burgers and fries. Halfway through the meal, she looked at me and asked, "Why do you always look like you're waiting for permission?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" She smiled. "Permission to believe in yourself." I didn't know what to say, because the truth was, she was right. I spent years trying to earn love, trying to earn attention, trying to earn a place in my own family. Grandma Rose reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Listen to me carefully, Savannah." Her voice became serious. "Some people won't see your value until it's too late." I laughed awkwardly. She didn't. "I'm serious." Then she pointed at my chest. "Never let somebody else decide what you're worth." At 16, I didn't fully understand those words. Years later, they would change my life. Back then, all I knew was this. Grandma Rose believed in me, and sometimes one person believing in you is enough to keep you going. Unfortunately, the rest of my family was about to make a decision that would prove exactly how little they believed in me. A decision that would destroy my future, or at least, that's what they thought. Because a few months later, Grant called a family meeting, and those two words always meant trouble. The drive to the hospital felt longer than it actually was. My mind kept replaying the same question. Why was I still listed as the emergency contact? After 5 years of silence, it didn't make any sense. I parked, walked inside, and followed the signs to the patient's wing. Every step felt heavier. Room 417. I stopped outside the door. My hand froze on the handle. Part of me wanted to turn around and leave, but I didn't. I pushed the door open, and there he was. My dad, the man who hadn't spoken to me in 5 years. He looked older. Much older. His hair was thinner. His face looked tired. For the first time in my life, he didn't seem larger than everyone else in the room. He looked human. Weak. Fragile. A nurse noticed me standing there. "You must be Ethan." I nodded. "He woke up earlier," she said. "He's been asking if anyone came." I almost laughed. Anyone? Or me? Before I could answer, another voice came from the corner. A voice I knew instantly. My mother. "Ethan?" I turned. She looked just as shocked as I felt. Neither of us moved. Neither of us spoke. 5 years of silence sat between us. Then she slowly stood up. For a moment, I thought she might hug me. Instead, she whispered something that hit harder than I expected. "You actually came. Not how are you. Not I've missed you. Just surprise, like she never expected me to walk through that door." I looked at her and shrugged. The hospital called. Her eyes dropped toward the floor. And that's when I knew something was wrong. Not hospital wrong. Family wrong. The kind of wrong people spend years trying to hide. Because my mother suddenly looked nervous. And my father wasn't the only reason I had been called here. I looked from my mother to my father. Something felt off. Way off. The room was too quiet. Too tense. Like everyone already knew something I didn't. My mother kept twisting her hands together. A habit she only had when she was nervous. "What is it?" I asked. She forced a smile. "Nothing." I shook my head. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Lie to me." Her face immediately fell. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then my father's voice broke the silence. "We need to talk." It was the first thing he'd said to me in 5 years, and somehow it sounded heavier than I imagined. I walked closer to the bed. "What about?" My father looked at my mother. My mother looked at the floor. That was all the answer I needed. Whatever this was, they'd been hiding it together. Finally, my father took a slow breath. "There's something we should have told you years ago." The words hit me like a truck. People don't start conversations like that unless something big is coming. Really big. I folded my arms. Then tell me. His eyes filled with regret. The kind of regret that comes from carrying a secret too long. You remember the summer before everything fell apart? Of course I remembered. That was the year arguments started happening every week. The year everyone suddenly treated me differently. The year I got pushed out of the family one piece at a time. I nodded. My father closed his eyes for a moment. Then he said the words that changed everything. The reason we stopped talking to you, he swallowed hard, wasn't actually your fault. The room went silent. I stared at him. For 5 years I blamed myself. 5 years wondering what I'd done wrong. 5 years believing I was the problem. And now he was saying none of it was my fault. My heart started pounding. Then whose fault was it? My mother immediately started crying. My father looked toward the door, then back at me. And when he finally answered, I realized the biggest lie in my family's history was about to come crashing down. My father stared at the ceiling for a long moment, like he was trying to find the courage to say it. Finally, he looked at me. It started with your uncle, Richard. I frowned. Uncle Richard? That made no sense. He was the fun uncle, the one who showed up at birthdays with gifts, the one who always acted like he cared about everyone. What does Richard have to do with this? I asked. My mother's shoulders started shaking. My father sighed. More than you know. The room suddenly felt colder. I pulled a chair closer and sat down. Start talking. My father nodded. 5 years ago, Richard came to us with a story. A story? He said you'd betrayed the family. I stared at him. What? He claimed you stole money from him. I almost laughed, because it was ridiculous. I barely had enough money to pay my own bills back then. Why would I steal from him? I never took a dime from Richard. I know that now, my father said quietly. The words hit hard. Now? As in they actually believed him? You believe that garbage? Neither parent answered, and their silence told me everything. For years they trusted his word over mine, without even asking me, without giving me a chance to defend myself. I stood up so fast the chair nearly tipped over. You cut me off over a lie? My mother wiped tears from her face. We thought we were protecting the family. By destroying mine? Neither of them had an answer, because there wasn't one. My chest felt tight. 5 years. 5 birthdays. 5 Christmases. 5 years of wondering why I wasn't enough. All because someone lied. Then another thought hit me. A much bigger one. If you know it was a lie now? I looked directly at my father. What changed? The room went silent again. My father looked toward the window. His expression darkened. Because Richard finally got caught. A chill ran through my body. Caught doing what? My father swallowed hard. Then he answered. And the next words made my blood run cold. He didn't just lie about you. He'd been stealing from the entire family for years. For a moment I thought I'd heard him wrong. Stealing from the family? My father nodded slowly. Everyone. I sat back down. My anger was still there, but now confusion was taking over. How? My mother wiped her eyes. Richard always handled things for people. That was true. He helped relatives with paperwork, investments, tax forms, insurance claims, anything involving money. Everyone trusted him, including me, especially my parents. My father stared at his blanket. We never questioned him. The regret in his voice was impossible to miss. What happened? I asked. My father exhaled. 3 months ago, your cousin Tyler noticed money missing from an account. My eyebrows lifted. Missing? At first, everyone thought it was a banking error. But it wasn't. An investigation started. Records were checked. Transfers were traced. Documents were reviewed. And little by little, the truth started surfacing. My uncle had been moving money for years. Small amounts at a time. Never enough to get noticed. Never enough to trigger suspicion. Until eventually someone finally connected the dots. I shook my head. This can't be real. I wish it wasn't, my father said. Then he looked directly at me. And that's when we discovered something else. The way he said it made my stomach tighten. What? My mother started crying again. Not quietly. The kind of crying people do when they've been carrying guilt for years. My father's eyes filled with tears. The money Richard claimed you stole. He paused. Never existed. I froze. What? There was no missing money. The room went silent. My entire body felt numb. The accusation that destroyed my relationship with my family was completely made up. Every single bit of it. No theft. No proof. No evidence. Just a lie. A lie they chose to believe. My father lowered his head. We failed you. 5 simple words. Words I'd wanted to hear for years. But somehow they didn't make me feel better. Because no apology could give me back 5 years. No apology could erase the nights I spent wondering what I'd done wrong. No apology could replace the family I lost. Then my father said something that caught me off guard. There's one more thing you need to know. I looked up. What now? His face turned pale. And for the first time that day, he looked scared. Richard wasn't acting alone. My heart stopped for a second. What do you mean he wasn't acting alone? My father looked at my mother. My mother immediately looked away. That was all I needed to see. A terrible feeling settled in my stomach. No, neither of them spoke. The silence was answer enough. I slowly stood up. No way. My mother started crying harder. My father's eyes filled with shame. And suddenly the pieces started falling into place. The nervous looks, the guilt, the fear. This wasn't just about Uncle Richard. Someone else had helped him. Someone inside the family. Someone close. Very close. I looked directly at my mother. Her hands were shaking. The moment our eyes met, she broke down. And that's when I knew. My chest tightened. Mom. She couldn't even look at me. Please don't hate me, she whispered. The words hit harder than anything else I'd heard all day. My father closed his eyes. My mother covered her face and cried. And finally, the truth came out. Richard told me you were planning to leave forever. I blinked. What? She nodded through tears. He said you hated us. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He told me you were waiting for the right moment to disappear and never speak to us again. The room spun. A grown woman, a mother, believed that without even asking me, without one conversation, without one phone call, without hearing my side. She trusted a lie, and that lie destroyed everything. My mother looked at me with tears streaming down her face. I thought I was protecting the family. The same excuse. Again, I shook my head. No, the word came out sharper than I intended. You weren't protecting the family. She flinched. You were protecting a lie. The room fell silent. Nobody argued. Because nobody could. For years they believed the wrong person. For years they pushed away the one person who never betrayed them. Then my father cleared his throat. There's still something we haven't told you. I stared at him. At this point, I wasn't sure anything could shock me anymore. But then he spoke. And the next sentence changed everything. Richard wasn't the reason the hospital called you. I stared at my father. What do you mean? The room felt completely still. Even the machines seemed quieter. My father looked exhausted, like every word was costing him energy. The hospital didn't call you because of Richard. Then why did they call me? My mother wiped her eyes and looked down. Neither of them wanted to answer. That instantly made me nervous. My father took a slow breath. Because you're the only person who can help. I frowned. Help with what? Another long silence. Then he reached toward the bedside table. His hand was shaking. He picked up a folder. A thick one. The kind filled with paperwork. Medical papers. Legal papers. Important papers. He handed it to me. I opened it. The first page didn't mean much. Neither did the second. But halfway through the folder, I found something that made my stomach drop. My name. Over and over again. I flipped through more pages. There it was again. And again. And again. What is this? My father swallowed hard. Read the highlighted section. I looked down. My eyes scanned the paragraph. Then I froze. My heart nearly stopped. No way. My mother started crying again. I looked up. This has to be wrong. It isn't, my father whispered. I looked back at the paper, trying to convince myself I misunderstood, trying to convince myself I was reading it wrong, but the words stayed exactly the same. The documents revealed something I never knew, something that had been hidden from me my entire life. A legal decision made years ago, one that directly involved me, one that explained why my name was still attached to everything. My hands started shaking. I looked at my parents. Neither of them could meet my eyes. Finally, I forced the words out. You never told me? My father lowered his head. No, the betrayal hit harder than anything before it, because this wasn't about Uncle Richard. This wasn't about lies. This wasn't about stolen money. This was about something they deliberately kept from me, for my entire life. And when I turned the next page, I discovered exactly what that secret was. My hands trembled as I turned the page. I kept telling myself there had to be some mistake, some misunderstanding, something. But there it was, in black and white. Official signatures, official stamps, official records, and my name right in the middle of it all. I looked up at my parents. "What is this?" Neither answered. The silence felt heavier than any words. I looked back down and kept reading. The document wasn't about money. It wasn't about inheritance. And it wasn't about Uncle Richard. It was about me. My entire life. A truth that had been hidden since I was a child. Then I reached the final page, and everything clicked. I felt the air leave my lungs. "No." My father closed his eyes. My mother started crying again. The words on the paper didn't change. No matter how many times I read them, according to the records, the people sitting in front of me weren't my biological parents. I just stared, unable to think, unable to move, unable to speak. The room blurred around me. Every childhood memory suddenly felt different. Every argument, every family gathering, every moment I spent trying to earn their approval, all of it looked different now. Because the biggest piece of my identity had been missing the entire time. I slowly lowered the papers. "You adopted me?" My mother's sobs echoed through the room. My father nodded. "When you were 2 years old." The words hit me like a freight train. 2 years old, meaning I had never known. Not once, not ever. I spent my whole life believing one story, and now in a hospital room, that story had shattered. "Why didn't you tell me?" Neither answered immediately, because there was no easy answer. Finally, my father spoke. "We were afraid." "Afraid of what?" His eyes filled with tears. "Afraid you'd leave us if you knew the truth." The irony was almost unbearable. The secret they hid to keep me close was the same secret that pushed me away. Then my father pointed toward the folder. "There's one last document." I looked down. A sealed envelope sat at the bottom, yellowed with age. Untouched for years, my name was written across the front, not in my parents' handwriting. Someone else's, someone I had never met. My heartbeat quickened. Who wrote this? My mother covered her mouth. My father stared at the envelope and quietly said the words that changed everything. "Your birth mother." My eyes stayed locked on the envelope. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The entire room felt frozen. My name was written across the front in faded ink, like it had been waiting for me all this time. 28 years, sitting in silence, waiting. I looked at my father. "You had this the whole time?" He nodded slowly. The guilt on his face said everything. My chest tightened. "You kept a letter from my birth mother for almost 3 decades?" My mother broke down again. "We thought we were doing the right thing." I let out a bitter laugh. That phrase again, the same excuse that seemed to follow every bad decision they made. I looked back at the envelope. Part of me wanted to open it immediately. Part of me was terrified, because once I read it, nothing would ever be the same. My fingers slid under the seal. Slowly, carefully, the paper crackled as I opened it. Inside was a single folded letter. Old, fragile, but perfectly preserved. I unfolded it. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely read. Then my eyes found the first line, and I froze. "If you're reading this, then I never got the chance to tell you myself how much I loved you." My vision blurred instantly. I swallowed hard and kept reading. She wrote about the day I was born, about holding me for the first time, about how she counted my fingers and toes, over and over because she couldn't believe I was real. Tears filled my eyes. I had spent my whole life wondering if someone out there ever thought about me. And now I had my answer. Every word on the page carried love. Not regret, not shame, love. Then I reached the final paragraph, and my heart nearly stopped. My birth mother had included something with the letter, a name, an address, and one specific request. If I ever found the letter, she wanted me to find someone who had been searching for me. For years, I looked up from the page. "Who is this person?" My father's face went pale. My mother stared at the floor. Then my father answered, and the room fell silent again. "It's your sister." For a second I thought I misheard him. "My sister?" My father nodded. I looked back at the letter, then at the address, then back at him. "You're telling me I have a sister, and nobody thought I should know?" Neither parent had an answer, because there wasn't one. The truth was simple. They knew, and they kept it from me. For years, I stared at the name written at the bottom of the page. Olivia Carter, my sister, a complete stranger, and somehow the closest family member I had left. The next morning, I sat in my apartment staring at my phone. The number was written on a piece of paper beside me. I must have picked up the phone 10 times and put it back down 10 times. What do you even say? Hi, I'm the brother you never met. It sounded insane. But eventually, I took a deep breath and dialed. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then someone answered. Hello? A woman's voice. Calm, nervous, hopeful. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Then I forced the words out. Olivia. Silence. A long silence. Then I heard a shaky breath. Who's this? My throat tightened. It's Ethan. Nothing. No words. No reaction. Just silence. Then suddenly, a sob. A real one. The kind that comes from years of waiting. Oh my God. My eyes filled instantly. She knew. She actually knew who I was. I can't believe you called. I sat down before my legs gave out. You've been looking for me? She laughed through tears. For 12 years. 12 years. While I spent years believing nobody wanted me. Someone had been searching. Never giving up. Never stopping. We talked for hours that day. About everything. About our birth mother. About our lives. About the years we lost. And somehow it felt natural. Like we weren't strangers at all. A week later, we met in person. The moment she walked into the cafe, I knew. Same eyes. Same smile. Same nervous habit of playing with her hands. She stopped in front of me. Neither of us knew what to say. Then she stepped forward and hugged me. And for the first time in years, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Not because of money, not because of a last name, not because of paperwork, because family isn't the people who keep secrets from you. Family is the people who choose you, the people who search for you, the people who never stop hoping you'll come home. As for my parents, healing took time. A lot of time. Trust doesn't magically return overnight. But eventually, conversations started. Then visits. Then forgiveness. Not because they deserved it, but because carrying anger forever would have kept me trapped in the past. And Uncle Richard? The truth finally caught up to him. The lies ended. The damage couldn't be undone, but it could finally stop spreading. 5 years after my parents blocked my number. The hospital called mine. What I thought would be the worst day of my life turned out to be the day I got my family back.